Hi guys, it's Panicos Euripides, Chartered Surveyor, Commercial Surveyor. Today I just want to touch on any businesses that are a tenant of a network rail. So if they occupy one or more railway arches, and in all likelihood their landlord will be a network rail. Sometimes it's different, it might be TfL, that kind of thing, but specifically I'm talking about network rail tenants today. And the main reason I just want to make you all aware some due diligence to be thinking about when you receive correspondence from said landlord. In particular, if you receive a letter that is triggering a rent review. And why is this important? Because what's happening at the moment is, as some of you may or may not be aware in the news, Network Rail are in the process of selling off their commercial portfolio, which is thousands of properties across the UK, mainly the southeast, to a single private investor. That will be going through towards the end of this year, 2018. And effectively what's happening is they're on an unofficial drive to increase maximum value for any bid for the asset. Now what that means is a lot of rent reviews, both future, current and in the past, are being triggered. In other words, the landlord's trying to increase rents across those properties, across the portfolio. And what's happening is they're triggering those rent reviews, but there's a specific clause within those leases that effectively states that the tenant has to respond within 1 month of that trigger notice with their own counter notice, and it needs to be done within that time frame and in a very specific way. And if they don't do that, they're effectively stuck with whatever rent increase proposal that the landlord stroke Network Rail have imposed. And in many cases you're talking about rents that are doubling, tripling, quadrupling compared to what the tenant's currently been paying. So if you're a tenant business and you've been operating for 5, 10, 20 years in this property, and you get a letter and it says we'd like you to be paying 2 or 3 times what you've been paying as of this date, the worst thing you can possibly do is ignore it and sit on it, because that effectively will relinquish any leverage or negotiation capability that you have and any legal right to push back and reject that proposal. So what you need to be doing is take that letter, pass it to your surveyor straight away, or at the very least your solicitor. Make sure the counter notice gets served in time and in the correct way so as to protect your position. I wouldn't rely on your interpretation of what the lease says. I would give it to a solicitor or surveyor and let them do that for you to make sure they get it right. And at least then you have the opportunity to negotiate and drive down the rent increase as much as possible. So please take this advice. Don't ignore it. I've seen far too many businesses that have ignored that advice and have just sat on a letter, and it's really come back to bite them. I'm dealing with quite a few Network Rail tenant clients at the moment and businesses, and this is a huge problem across London. So please take the advice, don't ignore the letters that come in, give it to a professional that can deal with it for you straight away. And hopefully, if this message kind of even saves 1 or 2 businesses from that sort of fate, then I'll be a happy person. So hope you found that useful. It was Panicos Euripides, Windsor Grange Surveyors.